Top of the hour to you. You're live on Joy News for Joy News Today with me, Sweetie Abochi. Coming up, various import groups protest shipping charges at the country's seaports. We'll be there for updates. And Netco workers still protesting the merger with ECG. Also, President Akufo-Addo to deliver his last address at the United Nations General Assembly before he leaves office. We have details of these plus sports, business news and world news all coming up shortly in the 60-minute package. We're also live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 125. You want to stay with me for details. Many thanks for your time. In our first story, residents of Jaso and Taso in the Seche Central District are threatening to boycott payment of district assembly tolls if the government fails to fix roads in their communities. The 10-kilometer roads are in deplorable state, negatively affecting socio-economic development in the communities. Upgrade of 2.5-kilometer road from Jetiase to Bonkrom, which was awarded to MS Winman Ghana Limited, has halted for years. The communities took to the streets to protest their displeasure against the poor roads, and Prince Jumo is among leaders of the protest.
From Mampong to Jetiase, it's not even up to 1 kilometer. Yes. From Bonkrom, another community between Mampong and Nsuta, from Bonkrom to Jetiase is 2 kilometers. Now, from Jetiase through Tadiasu to Nsuta, it's about 6 kilometers. So if we put these distances together, you are not even getting 10 kilometers. So why is it difficult for the government of Ghana to construct a road of length 10 kilometers for these two communities if we are part of the country? Yes. So what the people are saying is that this time we are tired. We can't no more wait. So if by December 7, the government fails to construct our road for us, we are going to boycott the 2024 general elections. We are not voting. I learned the road minister was going around for road inspection. So the contractor pretended as if he's working. He only came to do that so that the road minister will see that they are working. But as soon as the road minister brought his visitation to an end, they left. They left. They left. So we are not going to vote. And we want to sound this caution to the district assembly and government of Ghana in general that if we don't get our road fixed after the election, then the two communities shall resist officials from the district assembly that come to our place to collect taxes. We are not going to pay any taxes.
Let's speak to Nanaya Ojima. Nanaya Ojima, it's good to have you on the program. Now, we just heard the residents of Jetiase and Tadioso lament the deplorable nature of their roads. What more can you report?
So, after demonstrating within Jetiase, together with other communities, they marched through the principal street of the district, that's the Central District, straight to the District Coordinating Council to meet the DC of the area. And when they got to Nsuta, they went straight to the DC's office to present a petition to the DC, telling him why they are going on a march today. Now, the DC, in answering to their protest, assured them of government willingness to ensure that the roads are fixed. But at the moment, he was proposing that the equipment from the district's road improvement program are used to temporarily find solution to the challenges they are facing now. That is, they use that to put the road in shape so that in future, government will raise the necessary funding to fix the roads. Unfortunately, this was rejected by the people. What they are saying is that they need the roads fixed and tagged by a proper contractor. They need it tagged, not
Now, but we understand that this road has been awarded to a contractor. Any word from the contractor so far?
The moment we went there, we didn't find any of the contractors there, but the information we got is that the contractor has abandoned the road for about 2 years, but some of its equipment are still in the communities. So we don't know if the contractor is still willing to complete this road for the people of GTRC.
Thank you so much, Nanaya Ojima, bringing us live updates on the state of those roads there and the protesters hitting the streets to demand better. In other stories, the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders and other import groups are protesting shipping charges at the country's seaports. They are blaming government for its inability to crack the whip as these shipping companies, which are foreign in nature, continue to shortchange Ghanaians. They're asking governments to put these lines in check, as done in other jurisdictions. Kwame Yanka has been following the protests and joins us with updates. Kwame Yanka, what can you report on the development of the story? Kwame Yanka, if you can hear me, we understand freight forwarders have some concerns and they are hitting the streets to register their displeasure. What are they saying? We will try to reconnect with Kwame Yanka and bring you details on what freight forwarders' concerns are and what they are doing out in the streets today. Now, in other stories, President Akufo-Addo will on Wednesday, that is tomorrow, deliver his address on the general theme, Leaving No One Behind, acting together for the advancement of peace, sustainable development and human dignity for present and future generations. The 79th UNGA is taking place at the UN headquarters in New York City in the United States of America from Saturday 21st to Friday 27th September 2024. Joy News editor Emefa Pawu is in New York for a separate event and joins us live. Emefa Pawu, it's good to connect with you. Please tell us more about the happenings at the UN headquarters. Emefa, kindly unmute so we can hear you.
I never thought that would happen to me, Sweetie. I'm so sorry about that.
Okay.
So just like other presidents, this will be the final address for President Akufo-Addo. In a few moments this morning, we'll have the President of the United States, Joe Biden, also deliver his address. And President Akufo-Addo's address will be no different, of course. The final one, it's unclear what exactly he'll be touching on, but it is the hope that the issues about climate, issues also about peace, it's largely about peace, the concerns in the Middle East. I'm sure you'll be following the news just yesterday. There's been some bombings in Hezbollah in Lebanon, amongst others, between Israel. So, of course, the highlights of President Akufo-Addo's message, we're hoping, will be on peace, the issues about climate. And we're hearing also that President Biden is going to make a big announcement about some donations that will be made for Mpox virus that's already breaking out in Africa. So there's a lot that is expected to happen. And we are hoping to hear more from President Akufo-Addo. If you've monitored his previous address, it appears that it is the stage, that world stage, that he hopes to give that message to the world in terms of what should happen and what Africa deserves. He's been a very, say it as it is when it comes to his address at the UN. And we are hoping that this will be no different. Since this will be his final, some will say there is nothing to lose, so he will say it as it is, speaking truth to power, as people will say. That's the expectation from President Akufo-Addo. There are a number of activities also lined up for him that he will be going through. The Du Bois Center will be honoring him. There's been a number of courtesy calls that he's paid on the UN Secretary General already, Antonio Guterres. There's a lot happening. We've already heard from the Ukrainian president yesterday, his address, and he will also be addressing the UN Security Council today. So Joy News is here on a separate event. But we are hoping that we'll cover this as well for when the president delivers his address tomorrow on that world stage, and we'll be looking out for it as well.
We'll be looking forward to your reports and other stories coming from you and the United States, and that separate event that's Joy News is there for. Many thanks for your time.
Thank you so much, Sweetie. Good to see you.
Okay. Let me bring you back that story about the freight forwarders and some import groups who are protesting shipping charges at the country's seaports. And they're blaming government for its inability to crack the whip as these shipping companies, which are foreign in nature, continue to shortchange Ghanaians. They have some demands and are Correspondent Kwame Yanka is on ground, has been following the protest and joins us with live updates. Kwame Yanka, many thanks for joining us. So what are the protesters really asking for?
Okay, so in the last 2 hours, these freight forwarders with other associations have been moving from one point to the other, more or less giving out petitions, lining out some of these issues, such as outrageous charges by these shipping lines. They believe that because the cost of doing business at the port is quite high, they end up passing on the cost with the ordinary consumer. Therefore, what you are supposed to buy at, let's say, 10 cities, then probably in a month or two later, then you're buying at 50 cities, and nobody seems to know what the country or the government is taking to ensure that these shipping lines somehow play to the rule. So they're asking government to act with all the powers available to government, Trade Ministry, and all the agencies, Ghana Shippers Authority, Ghana Shippers Council, and any other bodies that seem to have a role to play as a port to act as a square to bring relief to Ghanaians.
Thank you so much, Kwame Yanka. And we're looking forward to a conclusion or a wrap at the end of the day on what comes out of these protests. Now, workers of Netco are still protesting the merger with ECG. They say the planned merger is not in the country's interest. Let's speak to Charles Phillips. He's chairman of senior staff at Netco. Charles, thank you so much for joining the conversation. This has been going on for a while now. As we speak, what are your present concerns?
Come in again, please.
This protest against the merger of Netco and ECG has been going on for a while, and you're still protesting against it. As we speak, have your concerns not been addressed yet by authorities?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to fellow Ghanaians. As we speak, we are still waiting on a response from the president. We sent a petition to the president. We are waiting for his response, and then we'll know the next line of action to take.
But how long do you intend to register your displeasure?
As long as it will take. We are trying to be citizens and not spectators. We think this is not in the interest of the Ghanaians, so we will be citizens rather than spectators. So we'll fight till the battle is over.
Have you had any response at all, if not from the president, from other authorities, maybe leaders of Netco, ECG, anybody at all has said anything to you in response to these protests to the merger?
Not yet. The management of Netco and BRA are silent. Let's wait and see what happens.
Before I let you go, I just want you to paint the picture for me clearly. What is your issue with the merger of ECG and Netco?
Number one, as major stakeholders who will be affected by this merger, we were not consulted. For every bill that is sent to Parliament, after the draft, it is discussed with stakeholders to take their input. And we were not consulted. It's barely 3 months to elections, and you are flipping this to the House of Parliament. We definitely suspect and know that there is some fishy deal somewhere.
So is this all because of suspicions, or you have facts backing these claims and suspicions?
The bill seeks to address a certain problem. We think this is not the way. Imagine two, let me say, for want of a better word, ailing institutions to become bigger, to resolve their inefficiencies will not work. In fact, it cannot be done that way. You have to tackle the problems from the root cause. Merging them into one entity is not the way forward. You are the same president who appoints the MDs of these two institutions. When you make them, you'll be the same president who will appoint the chief executive of this authority. And what KPI did you give the MDs of the two institutions? What will be the KPI you give to the new chief executive? It will be the same. You are only using it as a ploy to achieve a certain aim, which is not written in any book.
Well, thank you so much, Charles Phillips, and he's chairman of senior staff at Netco. We'll take a quick break. We'll return with more news stories. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is still Joy News Today with me, Sweetie Abochi. Moving on, the National Labour Commission has made a raft of recommendations to the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations as part of efforts to avert a full-blown labour unrest. 5 unions, including the Senior Staff Association of Public Universities, the Ghana Association of University Administrators, and Tertiary Education Workers Union, have already downed their tools, protesting unresolved allowance issues. Adding to this wave of dissatisfaction is the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, which is set to resume their strike next week, just after ending the longest industrial action in their history, citing the government's failure to honor their agreement. Dr. Dominic Owusu, spokesperson for the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, explains the reasons for their intended action.
Haven't called off the strike. They are going to expedite action and then work on the migration. Remember, during the NDC era, the migration was done within 2 weeks. We migrated from GS to the current payroll within 2 weeks.
Okay.
So when we declared our strike on the 14th of June, we promised that at West they are going to migrate us within 1 month. And as I speak to you right now, the timelines that we agreed upon which the strike was called off has still not been done. It looks as if we have to go on strike to make duty bearers perform their legitimate duties that every month the government of Ghana pays them. It is because of our strike that is why they were expediting action. We thought that having gone on strike for 3 consecutive times, government would have learned the lesson. This strike that led to 2 people dying and then also 1 person snatching phones and being beaten and then also losing so much. Government has still not learned her lessons. And as I speak to you, you'll be surprised that the offline data that the technical committee worked on has not come to the college.
The Mortuary Workers Association of Ghana have cited the government's failure to address long-standing demands for improved pay, better working environments, and adequate personal protective equipment as concerns. Now Director of Grievances and Negotiations at the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, Professor Charles Adabo-Opong, has expressed surprise at the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana's threats to strike again. He emphasized that CTAG's concerns are being addressed following the arbitration award.
First, with respect to the CTAG issues, I think they had about 2 months strike, industrial action. You were aware. We got to the table with them to address their concerns. Largely, it was about extending the public universities' allowances to tutors of the colleges of education. But before we could do that, we needed to conduct what we call the HR audit, of which DTEC, the regulator, did. Afterwards, we established those who qualified per the arbitration award. And so currently, the migration exercise is about coming to an end, which will then pave way for implementation. So those who qualify will then be giving the salaries due them in respect of the public university policy structure. Very much surprised because their principals, the Principals Association, which is FRINCOF, they are part of the been giving, some reports, updates on what we are doing. Currently, we are even compiling the report for the migration exercise, and we are also meeting them this week to give them a final briefing in terms of the migration exercise that we have conducted. And therefore, if they intend to proceed on any other tangent, that will not help the good cause of the education system, then obviously I'm surprised, because they are aware that migration is ongoing. And migration, my brother, if you really understand the processes, you realize that it is not one offshore event that you can just take. You are migrating individual tutors, one by one. So it takes time. And we have been able to use a month and some few days to complete the exercise. And so we are going to engage this week to give them the final briefing, and then everything, those maybe will have some issues, they will table, we address them. Then finally, we'll send it to Minister of Finance for onward submissions to controller. And then those deserving staff obviously will be paid. So we have done our part. And therefore, I do expect that since they have been involved, their principals have been involved, they have been giving updates,
threatening
they
to go on
know
strike.
whatever that we have been doing. I'll be very much surprised if they really want to go on strike.
And beg your pardon, the Mortuary Workers Association are also threatening to go on strike, but that is a different story from the story we just brought you. That there was Professor Charles Adabo-Pong, and he stated again that the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission is actively meeting with the leadership of the Mortuary Workers Association to address and resolve the implementation of their grievances as well.
Regarding MUAC, which is the Mortuary Workers Union, they have also submitted some concerns. We have examined them. Fair Wages is always committed to addressing industrial issues. And we have established that the issues that they have raised largely borders on implementation, which is really within the domain of the Ministry of Health and its agencies. We are still committed, though we have been able to negotiate with them in terms of whatever that they submitted. Those agreements have been reached, but in terms of implementation, that is where the issues lie. And we are still committed to that. We have even invited them to a meeting this week to look at how best we can also facilitate implementation for.
A consultative committee on the review of the Constitution has recommended a raft of changes to the 1992 Constitution. The committee, put together by the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs, wants members of Parliament who are appointed ministers to resign from Parliament and also requires parliamentary approval for appointments to some key constitutional bodies, including the Electoral Commission, Auditor General and SHRAJ. Kweku Asante has more in this report.
Ghana's 1992 Constitution has not been amended for some time. There are now calls for an urgent review to meet the needs of the time. A report by a commission set up by former President Mills to review the Constitution has been sitting on a shelf and has not been implemented. The Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs under Oseche Mensah was sought to get this underway and put together a Constitutional Review Consultative Committee chaired by a lecturer at the University of Ghana Law School, Madame Clara Berry Kasati. The committee is now recommending, among others, that criminal trials must start within 6 months after a suspect is arrested, recommending an end to the cycle of setting up committees to review salaries of Article 71 office holders and instead institute a formula. According to the committee, MPs who are appointed ministers must resign from Parliament, while also asking for appointments to SHRAJ, EC and the Auditor General be approved by Parliament.
The CRC recommended that the time be reduced from 48 hours. They are required to be brought before a court within 48 hours. The recommendation is that it should be reduced to 24 hours, and we are agreed on it.
Former Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu wants any review of the Constitution to diminish the wide powers of the President and end the winner-takes-all phenomenon.
Winner take away all. We must do away with that in the future Constitution of Ghana. This winner take away all. It must be taken away so that Ghana can have a proportional kind of representative government like what pertains in South Africa. We also must water down the powers of the president. So Clara, I'm at the day with your thought on it. But go further. Your group must do cross-jurisdictional study. Kenya have amended to decouple minister from MP. What they have observed is that those ministers who are not MPs don't care more about constituents than those who are MPs who want, because of blackmail, they will perform in order to keep the seat.
Retired Supreme Court Judge Jones Duche also wants the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court reduced.
We have to decide whether we want all our ministers to come from Parliament or to be outside Parliament. This hybrid for me will not work. We have been talking a lot about Supreme Court appointments, capping the Supreme Court. having just exited the court, I know that my colleagues will do a yeoman's job because the Constitution has given them too many jurisdictions, too many. And my younger brother who is here will bear me out. So the Constitution has to look at maybe reducing the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. You can limit some of the civil appeals.
But with the country in an election season and with barely 3 months to an election, Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, Osei Mensah-Bonsu, says this should not stop the review from going ahead.
I've heard people opine that in an election year, there's not much that can be done when it comes to constitutional amendment. With the greatest respect, I beg to differ. All the amendments to the 1992 Republican Constitution happened in 1996, after the election, in November and December. All the amendments happened in 1996, after the presidential and general elections. So I believe that we are not stopped by time to do the consultation that we intend to continue today.
The stakeholders consultation workshop was to afford stakeholders the opportunity to review the report of the CRCC and build consensus ahead of its implementation.
In other news, wife of Ghana's Vice President, Mrs. Samira Bawumia, has, as part of efforts aimed at promoting clean cooking solutions, inaugurated an improved institutional kitchen stove at Nkranza Technical Institute in Abono East region. Mrs. Bawumia, who is a climate change advocate, says the new cooking method will help preserve the environment as it emits 80% less smoke than the traditional cooking stoves. Anna Sabed has more.
The new improved institutional cook stoves kitchen, designed to promote clean cooking and sustainable energy practices, replaces the traditional open cooking system that relies heavily on firewood. The newly improved kitchen forms part of an initiative of the Energy Commission, which aims at enhancing sustainable use of renewable energy resources to promote healthier cooking options for secondary institutions across the country. Second Lady Mrs. Samira Bawumia, who was the special guest of honor at a brief inauguration event, lauded the Energy Commission for the initiative and emphasized the relevance of the idea in promoting clean and healthier cooking.
I'm excited to join you here today at Nkranza Technical Institute to commission the new improved institutional cook-stove kitchen. As an advocate for climate, energy, sustainability, and education, I understand the transformative impact this initiative will have on this campus and this community.
Executive Secretary at the Energy Commission, Oscar Amanu Neza, said the project, which forms part of the Commission's corporate social responsibility, offers several socio-economic benefits to beneficiary schools.
The program was implemented to offer several socio-economic and environmental benefits to schools, including the following. 1. To improve and sustain access to wood fuel in the targeted schools, which will consequently reduce the unsustainable extraction of firewood from the nation's forests. Secondly, it was to reduce the expenditure on wood fuel purchases in the targeted schools. And lastly, it was to serve as an opportunity for practical training of students on afforestation.
Principal of the Nkranza Technical Institute, which is the first school in the country to adopt this new technology, Andrews Ohene Boateng, was thankful to the Energy Commission for the gesture.
Today, we are not only welcoming all of you, but then all that we are saying, join us to celebrate and also thank the Energy Commission for at least bringing a smile onto our faces. We thank them a lot.
Anna Sabit, Joy News, Nkranza.
Let's take a break now and return with business news.
It's now time for Business on Joy News today. My name is Winston Taki, and our to our first business story. Africa World Airlines has embarked on a drive to support street children and physically challenged persons as part of its 12th anniversary celebrations. This was done to demonstrate the commitment of the company to improving societal welfare. There is more in this following report.
The event, held in the heart of Accra, demonstrates Africa World Airlines' dedication to social responsibility and community well-being. The company distributed essential supplies including food, beverages, water, clothing and footwear to those in need. According to the company, the initiative underpins the direction it wants to take for the next decade. Christabel Amega Ebo is head of HR for the company.
We are celebrating our 12th anniversary of flight operations in Ghana. And we thought that it would be inspiring to give back to the society. We thought of no other people than the street children and the street people actually. We see them every day on our streets, and they ask us to give them clothes. And so we thought that the staff of Africa World Airlines could come together, put their previously owned clothes together and give it back to them. So we organized this program for today, and we've got many of them coming from Nima, from Mamobi, from everywhere else, because we gave them prior notice. So they've been here, they've taken so many clothes, and we've also fed them. We've given them food and drinks, water, warm meals. We know that some of them haven't had that in a very long time.
Brands and Corporate Operations Manager of the company, Joycelyn Andor, shed light on AWA's decision to commemorate their 12th anniversary by extending support to the community.
We're celebrating our 12-year anniversary. Africa World has seen so many challenges, and yet we are still here, and we're to share the achievements with everyone. We're to say a big thank you to all our passengers, our customers, and our community. As you can see, this whole event was to include them and involve them in our celebration. Many years ago, every time we celebrate anniversary, we are focused on our customers, and of course they are still part of this anniversary, but this time around we said we wanted to give back to our community. We've been in operations in this particular vicinity for all of the 12 years that we've been operating, and we decided that it's time to give back to our community.
She affirmed the organization's commitment to making this annual program as an integral part of its corporate social responsibility endeavors.
Moving on, Lancaster University, Ghana has graduated a total of 42 students with a call on them to contribute their quota to the socio-economic development in any sphere of their life. Speaking at the 8th graduation ceremony, Provost and Chief Executive of Lancaster University, Ghana, Dr. Emmanuel Arthur said the school is committed to improving the learning of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics STEM in the school with the introduction of an artificial intelligence and robotics to lab-honed skills of the students.
The 8th graduation ceremony of Lancaster University, Ghana saw students who have excelled in fields of economics and international relations, law, computer science, accounting and finance, business management and marketing receive their bachelor's degree. This diverse cohort had students from various countries such as Ghana, Nigeria, Togo, and Ivory Coast. Delivering his address, Provost and Chief Executive of the school, Dr. Emmanuel Arthur, commended the graduating class and reiterated their commitment towards improving the study of STEM courses in the school.
Last year during my graduation speech, I mentioned the setting up of an emerging technology lab for artificial intelligence and robotics. I am pleased to inform you that construction is almost completed and should be ready for use by our students during the 2024-2025 academic year. All students, irrespective of the course of study, will be given the opportunity to have an immersion program in the use of these technological advances. I also mentioned last year the setting up of a first-class moot court for our law students to enhance their lawyering skills. Again, I'm happy to announce that this has been completed, and our law students will have this facility available for their use this academic year starting October.
Pro Vice Chancellor at Lancaster University, Professor Simon Guy, said the school will continue to contribute to the economic development and growth of students.
Our global outlook brings tremendous value to our university and also to our students in preparing them for lives and careers as global citizens. At a time when there is such profound uncertainty and volatility in so many countries, Lancaster remains resolute in our determination to be a university that is open to the world. We believe in building bridges, not walls. It may be thousands of miles from Lancaster to Accra, but there can be no better expression of our belief than the bridge we have built between Lancaster and Ghana. We are committed to producing the graduates Ghana and its neighbours need to fulfil their ambition to grow economically, to be inclusive socially, and to bring lasting prosperity to all their citizens in the years to come.
The Chancellor's Medal was awarded to Ahmed Dache for being the most meritorious student in the cohort, while Somto Chukwu Emanuela received the Founders Award.
That'll be all for business. My name is Winston Taki. We have more for you after this break. Stay tuned.
Let's bring you sports now on Joy News today with me, Muftawa Nabila Abdullah. The Joy Sports Invitational Tournament for 2024 has been launched. The launch was done early on today on the platforms of the multimedia group. Chief Operations Officer Ken Ansah has extended an invite to some chief executive officers to be a part of this year's competition.
It is the biggest corporate sports event, right? And we bring all corporates on board. We get them together to network. We get them together to expose their brands. And we get them together to also exercise and get themselves healthy as they pursue their corporate objectives. And so in times like this, I must say that it was a bit worrying that we had to rest the invitational for a while. But I'm very excited that we are back. And coming back in 2024 after a bit of COVID, after all those things, you know, it's a good time. And so a very good time that we are going to get ourselves rejigged, all the activities coming on board, and so many CEOs coming in to show what they have, what they've been doing behind the scenes all these while. And let's go compete.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chief Ken, I know you want to also throw an invitation out to your colleague CEOs as well. Which of them do you want to throw the focus on at this time?
First of all, we have Ernest of the CEO Network.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And you know, he has this beautiful community of CEOs where a lot of conversations go on. And Ernest to be the first I will invite.
Very well.
I don't know whether he has a team, but as CEO of CEOs, he definitely should be able to be in there to compete. But beyond him, there are a number of CEOs. We have two great CEOs here already. We also have my good friend Akufo-Addo of GCB Bank.
Oh, great.
We have our dear friend Mansanete of Stanchart.
And Chief Ken, you know the interesting thing about Mansanete? So Mansanete and Didier Drogba share the same birthday. I don't know how that is going to affect her performance. You know, and they are also the sponsors of the Joy Sports Centre. And they are shared sponsors of Liverpool as well. So maybe she's going to Anfield to train before this.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised. You know, she's normally on the quiet, but you never know what she's cooking. You know, so we will see on the day.
Very well.
I can't. You know, belittle what she will bring to the board. We also have Henry of Zenith Bank, Reverend Daniel Asiedu of Omni Besich.
Oh, interesting you mentioned those two as well. Mr. Henry Onwuzurigbo is the only CEO with a surname that has 5 syllables. Now, we're playing 5 penalties. So maybe, just maybe, we could be expecting something interesting. And Omni Besich and Zenith Bank just held their their health walks recently. I mean, Zenith Bank was just last Saturday, and Reverend Daniel Siedu. And Reverend Daniel Siedu was also transferred from, he did a transfer from Zenith to Omni Bissage. it was a big transfer. So a big news from the transfer market.
Actually, a prelude to the invitation. All those warm up under the guise of health walk and all those. Don't underestimate that.
Very well.
When people are doing those close to the tournament, then you know what they are up to. And we have Badoro, Georgios of Nestle.
Oh,
and we
Nestle.
have our Ashok, our own Ashok of Poly Group.
Very well.
And then Daniel Macaulay, doctor of Magna Group. He's also being invited.
The other day, about a couple, like 5 tournaments ago, Dr. Macaulay came to the tournament on a motorbike, but he didn't win the CEO's penalty shootout that day. So maybe he should park the motorbike this time.
We don't know how he will come this time, but don't be surprised he comes on a horse.
He's full of surprises sometimes.
Yes.
That's your sports for now. We do have more sports stories over at joyonline.com. If you want to register and be a part of this year's Joy Sports Invitational, just go on my Joy Online website and you can get the document. Just download it, fill it, select the events you want to partake, and then submit it to us and be a part of the fun that will be happening on October 26th. We appreciate your time.
Let's do showbiz on Joy News today. And the road to building a local digital platform for Ghana's creatives might be bumpy, according to Ghanaian software engineer and solutions architect Solomon Apiasan. He's weighing in on the New Patriotic Party's promise to create an online streaming platform for musicians and other creatives. And let's just say it won't be a walk in the park.
In a conversation with Kwame Dati on Joy FM Showbiz A to Z, Apiasan explained that while the idea of a homegrown streaming platform sounds like a sweet tune, it comes with some major hurdles. One of the biggest challenges, competing with international digital platforms that have already captured the heart and wallet of many Ghanaians.
If you were to advise any government on what to do in setting up an online platform for the creative industry, what would be your advice?
Okay, so first, it's a good thing. Because if it's going to be local, that's job creation. And my experience in this space over the years has shown me that there are a lot of talented hands here in Ghana, and even there are companies outside that are coming in to get them, right? So it will help when it comes to job creation, but competition will not make these platforms survive.
He didn't stop there. He suggested that if any government is serious about making the stream a reality, they'll need to reduce the influence and penetration of foreign platforms in Ghana. That, he believes, will give the local platform a fighting chance.
If we really want to have these platforms here, our version, and make them survive, unfortunately, what we have to do is to some extent reduce or say block the foreign competitors. Now, I have been in certain countries where I am not able to stream Ghanaian songs. I tried shooting very small videos on some platforms and I want to post with a Sarkodie song behind, a Shatawale song behind, and I can't find it. You search, it won't even show. So blocking these services won't be a first time of it happening. They are doing it and it's working. So it's like protecting yourself. Now, if I have been on a big platform for a very long time, and I still have access to my old one, where I have data stored over the years, why should I stop and come and pay for another service and use it, even if it's free? Sometimes, looking at the data that I have there, or the history I have there, I won't want to leave. So if we really want this to work, it looks like we'll have to go very hard to protect this space and either go into partnership or block some of these applications so that they don't bring the heavy competition that they have.
For a bit of background, the MPP's pledge to establish a streaming platform for creatives is part of their broader mission to support the creative arts industry. The platform is supposed to give Ghanaian musicians, filmmakers and other artists a space to showcase their work. But Apiasan's comments suggest that it won't be an easy task. Looks like the digital dream will need some serious tweaking before it becomes a reality.
And that's how we're wrapping up for Joy News today with me, Sweetie Abochi. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com to keep you informed and updated. Whatever you're up to today, I hope it is fruitful. It's bye for now.